All right, so now that we have learned about the color range command, we're going to look at the Refine Edge tool a little bit more. We've used this a little bit in your refresher project, but I want to dig a little deeper and really see what some of these features do. So what I want to do is put Nicolas Cage on a different background. So I am going to go to the city image that I gave you this week, and I'm going to drag that over to the Nick JPEG and drop it down. And then I'm going to free transform, Command T or Control T on a PC, hold down Shift, grab a corner and drag it out till it fills up the entire picture window. And then you can double click to apply it, and I'm going to offset it just a little bit, about like that. That looks pretty good. Now, I actually want this layer to be below the Nicolas Cage image, but I can't do that right now because it's a background layer. So to fix that, I'm just going to drag this little trash, or the little padlock icon to the trash, and it'll become a regular layer. Then I can drag layer 1 down below that. All right, now it's probably a good idea to start naming our layers. So I'll double click on layer 0, name it Nick, and I'll double click on the back layer 1 and name it City. All right, just so we can keep track of things. All right. So our city layer is there, but it's hidden right now. Okay, what we want to do is select the Nick layer, and we want to get an accurate selection around the Nicolas Cage figure. So we have a relatively flat background. It's pretty easy to do. I'm going to grab the quick selection tool and just click and drag around this background, and real quick we have a selection. Now the problem is the hair. Hair is always a problem when you're making selections, but the Refine Edge tool has made it a lot easier to deal with. Okay, so right now I have the background selected. I want to have the figure selected, so I'm going to go to Select Inverse, and you're going to see the marching ants disappear from around the edge of the image, and you'll see it going underneath the Nicolas Cage. That means the figure is selected. All right, now I have my selection, but it's not where I want it to be, obviously, around the hair. So I'm going to go to the Refine Edge. Now the Refine Edge is a feature that's available in all of the different selection tools. No matter which one you have selected, you'll see Refine Edge. I'm just going to go back to Quick Selection and click on Refine Edge, and this is what I'm going to see. Now yours might look a little different. You have lots of different view modes. You can have marching ants or overlay or on black or on white, black and white, however you want it. I'm going to do it on black right now because I have a light background, so it makes it really clear to see what my selection is looking like. All right, now, first thing you're going to see down here is Smart Radius. That's generally a good idea to check that. It helps Photoshop. I honestly don't know why it's a feature because I pretty much check it every time. And I'll take it up just a little bit, maybe 4 or 5. And it really just helps Photoshop look to see what sort of edge it's looking at. If it's a soft edge or if it's a hard edge, and it kind of will make changes in the way it selects things. Down here we have Smooth, Feather, Contrast, and Shift Edge. Smooth will try and smooth out jagged edges. Feather is going to soften things up all the way around. Contrast is going to kind of sharpen up the edges, and Shift Edge is actually going to take your selection either further away or closer to your figure. All right. So right now I'm going to leave those alone, and we'll see if we need them as we go. So the main thing you're going to use is this Refine Radius tool, which you're going to adjust the brush size up here. I'm going to get a pretty big brush. Mine's at about 187. And I'm just going to paint over the hair in little sections. And you'll see it starts to fix the selection pretty well. But there's still kind of some halos around there. We'll see what we can do with that. Now the nice thing about this is you can always go back in and refine your mask if that's what you're creating. So that's okay. I'm going to just go around the edges just to kind of clean things up. Now, for his hair, we can try a few different things. We can try dragging the radius up. I don't think it's going to do much good. We can take it down a little bit, see what it does. Not much. We can try to shift the edge in just a little bit. And that does a pretty good job of getting rid of that halo for the most part. You can try painting it over again and see if that helps anything. Usually it won't do much. So I think that's pretty good for now. We're going to see how it looks. So when you get a relatively accurate selection, and make sure it says output to selection here. All right. So I'm going to click OK. And it'll take a second. And now we're going to get looks like a relatively simple selection, but it's pretty complex. And now with this layer selected, I'm just going to add a layer mask, and it's going to mask the layer based on that active selection. You can see now, we can see the city behind him. Now, these 3 layers are all relating to Nicolas Cage, so I'm going to actually select all 3 of them by holding down Shift. Select the bottommost layer, hold down Shift, select the topmost layer. And I'm going to right-click or control-click, and you're going to see an option that says Group from Layers. All right, so I'm going to check that Group from Layers option, and it's going to say what do I want to name it. I'll just name it Nick again. Click OK. And what it does is it's a good way to organize your layers. All those layers are still there. What this does, it's kind of like linking them together. And I could have done that just as easily. But this ensures that when I move them, I move all 3 of them. Because otherwise, if I just move one, for example, you're going to see it's going to leave a little ghost behind of those adjustment layers that we created. So this will allow me to free transform and move them around together. So I'm going to put him about right here. Maybe I might shrink him down just a little bit. Free transform, hold down Shift, about like that. That looks pretty good. Now you can see there's still a little bit of halo in there. I don't know if we're going to be able to get rid of that. You know, the Refine Edge tool is kind of fickle. It's not a perfect tool by any means, but it gets a lot better than the way it was before. So if we want to try and edit this again, we go back into this group, select the mask on the Nick Cage layer, and you right-click or control-click, and go to Refine Mask. And it'll come up with the same kind of thing that we were doing before. Check Smart Radius again, and we can try a few different options. Feathering's not really what I want. Contrast, no. So I'm going to cancel out of that. I have another feature that I want to show you that's pretty cool. So with the mask still selected, this layer, I'm going to go to the Filter menu. And down at the very bottom, I just learned about this not that long ago, under Other, which is not really a place you would think to look. There are 2 commands called Maximum and Minimum. And this is a way to actually increase incrementally the size of your mask, either increase or decrease. So maximum is going to make it a little bigger, and minimum is going to shrink it down. So I'm going to go to minimum and see what happens here. And this allows me, I'm going to take it to 1. It's not going to do much. Take it to 2 or 3. You can see it starts to make him fade away. So I don't know if this is going to be how good this is going to work, but we'll. I'm going to cancel out of that. That's not really what I wanted. So you can play with this a little bit. For the sake of time, I'm going to move on. But a Refine Mask, you can try to experiment with Shift Edge or Feather Contrast to try and get something where that halo is not as noticeable. So mine's not that bad whenever I zoom out. It's not very noticeable, so I'm going to leave that as is. So the Refine Edge feature, it can be really useful. It's not a perfect tool. It takes a little finagling sometimes, but it's a great way to kind of smooth your selections whenever you're dealing with hair or other complex objects. All right, in the next video, we're going to look at the last feature, which is using alpha channels to make your selections.